Have this from the Daily Mail. Trump claims Biden never had COVID, says if he can't run for office, he can't run our country, and delivers brutal ultimatum to Kamala Harris as polling shows who would win. Donald Trump claimed that Joe Biden's positive COVID test was a phony, demanded he resign, and issued an ultimatum to likely new opponent Kamala Harris. Trump made a series of posts on Truth Social. He wrote, Biden never had COVID. He's a threat to democracy, but let's pull them up. There's literally one of his posts. Biden never had COVID. He's a threat to democracy. Trump, I believe, is correct on both accounts. I don't know that I trust the narrative that Joe Biden had COVID. I think that, along with many others, it was just a play to be like, oh, he's sick. Now he needs to resign. Joe Biden had stated he would consider resigning if he had a condition, if his doctors told him so. A few hours later, he's like, I have COVID. I have to cancel my speeches, and then left. I think it's all part of the plan. I think there's a strong possibility right now that Joe Biden did not resign. He's resistant. He doesn't know. But it's a coin toss because I'm not sure. It's entirely possible Joe Biden knows full well what's going on. And he stayed in the race thus far to block RFK Jr. And Democrats know exactly what's going on. Or there's the chaos hypothesis, I guess. And that is Democrats are using Joe Biden. Joe Biden is obstinate and won't jump out of the race. They were hoping he would, and they kept him in and told him he was going to be president because they wanted him to block RFK Jr. Hey, you're the incumbent. You're the nominee. I'm going to run, he says. And then they're like, okay, now you need to leave because RFK Jr. is not a threat anymore and the convention's coming up. And then he says no. So then they issue the resignation for him. I think there's a very strong probability, nay, possibility, that the Democratic establishment is in ruins. The deep state of the liberal economic order, founded after World War II, is in free fall, and they have no idea how to maintain this system. Thus, the populists are taking over. Trump posts on Truth. It's not over. Tomorrow, crooked Joe Biden's going to wake up and forget that he dropped out of the race today. Who is running our country right now? It's not crooked Joe. He has no idea where he is. If he can't run for office, he can't run our country. Agreed. National polling averages show Harris trailing Biden 48-46, according to the New York Times. That's an improvement on Biden's scores. Trump's beating him 47-44. These are the wrong polls. These aren't comparable polls. In swing states, and even states that have turned reliably blue in recent elections, Harris outpolls Biden even when losing. She's within 1 point of Trump in Pennsylvania, beating Biden, who was losing 48-45. In Virginia, she leads Trump by 5 points over Biden, who only leads Trump by 4 percentage points. There's a really funny meme. And they're like, Kamala Harris has the hurdle of being what is she? She's like Jamaican Indian and a minority female president. In order to convince the older, more sexist and racist Americans to vote for her, she's going to need someone with real experience working in government, someone who has served in a diverse administration before, a strong, older white man. Joe Biden, welcome back. Vice President Joe Biden is back. They're going to switch. Remember how Joe kept calling Kamala President Kamala? What if Kamala Harris has been the president the whole time? Everyone's like, no, it's Jill. No, it's Obama. I don't know. Maybe it's Kamala Harris. Anyway, however, those polls were conducted before the assassination attempt. In a poll conducted from July 9th to 18th, surveying 1,000 Georgians, Trump leads Harris by 51-46. I do not care for these polls, my friend, because I don't take into consideration the assassination attempt and the subsequent media. And we don't actually have very many polls so far. We have what do we have, like 4 or 5 so far? So you take a look at these. I don't care about this. Trump against Newsom up 11. Yeah, but the polling was during the weekend with the assassination attempt. Forbes from Harris X Forbes. Trump is up 2. Trump beats Harris by 4. Don't care. That was started on the day of the assassination attempt. Morning Consult. This is on Monday. Don't care. We need polls that are going to be 16 to 18, and that's what we're seeing right here now. These are the polls I care about. YouGov, July 16th to 18th, 3 days after the assassination attempt, people have been able to absorb the news. The week is coming to an end. We know how they're starting to feel about the media, how it's affecting them, and we still need a week. Trump is up 3 against Harris and 5 against Biden. Still not enough. July 17th, SoCal Research has Trump on Harris. She's Trump over Harris, up 8 points. 8 points. Not fit to serve. Speaker Johnson leads GOP demands for Biden to resign from presidency. Oh, boy. I think so. Joe Biden should resign. I don't understand this argument that he can't run and that he should also be president. What's the Democrat position on this one? Fox News reports Republican lawmakers are calling on President Biden to resign from office immediately after he announced he will not seek re-election in November. Speaker Mike Johnson said in a statement, "If Joe Biden is not fit to run for president, he is not fit to serve as president. He must resign the office immediately. November 5th cannot arrive soon enough. If the Democrat Party has deemed Joe Biden unfit to run for re-election, he's certainly unfit to control our nuclear codes." House Majority Whip Tom Emmer said minutes after the bombshell news broke, Biden must step down from office immediately. I think everybody agrees. I don't understand an argument you could make in this regard. I don't see it. House GOP conference chairwoman Elise Stefanik similarly said if Joe Biden can't run for re-election, he's unable and unfit to serve as president of the U.S. He must immediately resign. The Democrat Party is an absolute freefall for their blatantly corrupt and desperate attempt to cover up the fact that Joe Biden is unfit for office. And so on and so forth. The quotes, all shockingly similar. The question then becomes, if Joe Biden does resign as president, Kamala Harris becomes president and then says, I am certainly capable of running this office, but not a campaign at the same time. They can make that argument. Well, if you can't campaign, you can't be. No. Who's it going to be? Bill and Hillary Clinton endorse Harris and praise Biden. Oh, boy. I hope y'all are ready for this one. President Hillary Clinton, perhaps? Is that the play? I doubt it. But Hillary apparently lost a bunch of weight, so she's been trying to get fit. I don't think she can win. But the argument is, the reason the Clintons endorsed Harris is so that at the nominating process at a brokered convention, when Hillary Clinton wins and she does the face again at the balloons, she can say, you know, I really am grateful that you believe in me. I endorsed Kamala Harris, but you chose me. I am so magnanimous and humble. Look how great I am. Let me talk about where we're at. Let me pull up this website here for you. What is the liberal world order? From the Council on Foreign Relations. It's not a conspiracy theory. This is a fact. This is on the Council on Foreign Relations website, CFR. The liberal world order. After World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history, countries sought to ensure the world never again devolved into such horrific violence. World leaders created a series of international organizations and agreements to promote global cooperation based on a system known as the liberal world order. The U.S. has championed that system, promoting cooperation on issues including security, trade, health, and monetary policy. For the past 75 years during this time, the world has enjoyed unprecedented peace and prosperity. Except the Middle East, I guess. But those institutions are far from perfect. And today they are struggling to address new sources of disorder, such as climate change and a deadly pandemic. What's more, democracy is on the decline around the world. Authoritarianism is on the rise. And countries like China are deliberately chipping away at the liberal world order, creating parallel institutions of their own. Faced with those challenges, will the liberal world order survive? If a new system emerges, what will that mean for freedom, peace, and prosperity worldwide? Is that how they make the argument? Is that how they try to play the game? Seriously? The United States has military bases in basically every single country. Not literally every country. For what? You know why our troops never left Germany or Japan? Because we're occupying them after World War II. How many German military bases are in the United States? I didn't think so. This is what they are fighting to preserve. The military industrial complex, American hegemonic power. I say enough. I do. You've not justified this. Global peace and order. Hence, the children of Americans will serve at the behest of NATO, foreign countries in South Korea and Japan and Afghanistan. Spare me your global empire BS. Now, I am of two minds on this issue. I don't think that it's absolute in any direction. I certainly think the idea of a post-World War II attempt at world peace is a good thing. We have troops in Germany. Well, we occupied Germany. We were at war. And so we set up military bases. Japan, much the same. Don't you think at some point you leave? Oh, but we don't want them to gain control again. That's where it all goes wrong. And that's perhaps why these things aren't possible. These systems they want to put in place. Why were we in Afghanistan? The Mujahideen, Russia was moving in and with the threat of communists in the Soviet Union? Sure. And I hope you entertain this very real thought, very real possibility. With the Soviet Union expansion by military force, it is entirely possible that the U.S. gets cut off from trade, eventually loses more and more allies as Soviet influence expands, and then the United States becomes isolated to the point where it is a second world nation crippled under trade controls by global Soviet communist power. I think that's what they feared back in the day. I don't think that justifies the failures that they have wrought. That is to say, all of these ideas and plans they have for their liberal world order aren't working anymore. And the justification is we should just keep doing it. You want to talk about the rise of authoritarianism and all this other garbage? Sure, Democrats are about to choose their nominee by special appointment. That is the authoritarianism on the rise. Now, a Donald Trump presidency, round 2. Is that going to be a perfect system? No. You know, there's rumors going around that Trump is going to appoint some real bad dudes who hang out with some real bad boys and all of that stuff. And I'm like, sure. But I think Donald Trump gets it. Here's what I want to see. World peace, peace agreements, reunification of the Korean Peninsula under a popular government that actually works for the people. I don't know if that's possible. The dramatic cultural split between the North and South is very difficult to mend. I want to see trade agreements, peace agreements, de-escalation of war and conflict, and that's very, very difficult, nay, impossible. But I can tell you this. The liberal economic order has failed in that mandate. They have not maintained peace. They have not fought authoritarianism. They have burned our money, our resources, driven our economy into the garbage, creating series after series of global crises. And at this point, I can only say, your nobles may be, your nobles. The nobles of the liberal economic order who view themselves above the people may be well-intentioned, but that does not give them supreme, unfettered control and invincibility to continue to fail for generation after generation. Here's what we do. We weed out the rot, and perhaps we face a hard reset. And that's not going to be fun for anybody. But this idea that the global rot can continue is an absurdity. You have American troops all over the world. Let me pull up that map of U.S. military bases. Let's do this. Map of U.S. military bases. Bases around the world. Today's military.com. And let's, we want all of it. We want all of it. Space Force. Here we go. Let's pull this up. Let's talk about the current state of things. So, where's the show filters? Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, Space Force. And let's throw in all the boot camps, because that matters too. Training facilities. And let's take a look at this. So in the United States, I'm not surprised to see that we've got all of these bases, as we should. That's awesome. I like American military bases. Hawaii, we got questions about Hawaii because of the Geneva Conventions and expansion, colonialism. But the U.S. wanted that Central Pacific military base. Over here, I believe we have is Guam, right? Yep. Guam is also, similarly, Guam's pretty cool. We got an Air Force naval base and, questions about whether the U.S. should be there. But hold on there a minute. There's a U.S. naval base in Singapore. There's a U.S. naval base. What is this? Look at this. Point Marianne. It's an atoll. That's awesome, by the way. I don't know how I feel about these, isolated and obscure naval bases, but it would be really fun to go hang out at Point Marianne, right? This ridiculously isolated region in the Indian Ocean. Look at that. That's crazy. Hey, look at this. Bases all over Europe, surprisingly in Germany all over the place. And it appears, just in Belgium as well. We have Air Force bases all over the United Kingdom. And then you can jump over here. What about is it not giving us? Oh, okay. Let's reload these for you. For what purpose are we maintaining all of this military force around the world? It's not showing our bases in Afghanistan, though, which we have many. But sure, whatever. We have bases all over the place. And the question is why? South Korea, Japan. Why is the U.S. occupying all of these other countries? Look at this one. This Air Force base at, what is this one? Ilha Tercera, whatever. This is what they're fighting to maintain. A system that is in decay. My view is that the liberal economic order was created by these men after World War II. And the idea was, we've got control of these areas. We're going to fight the commies, and we're going to maintain world peace. Their children inherit it. Sniveling little brats. Sure, they understand the gist of the message, but they're entitled. They were raised in a world of global authority, which they controlled, and they thought it was in their entitlement. And then, of course, you get the grandchildren. Generation 3 of the liberal economic order, they have no idea how to run this machine. They don't know how to create candidates. They don't know how to be candidates. And thus, Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, they're all out of touch. Kamala, of course, is 59? A bit younger than the rest, but still fairly old. There's no candidates. The liberal economic order failed to create a strong generation that knew how to run this machine. A machine that I'm not particularly a big fan of, but I'm certainly no fan of the Soviets taking over the world. The Soviets collapse, and then the U.S. is basically unabated. NATO tries to continue to expand, but for what reason? The efforts that have been made so far by the uniparty establishment and the liberal economic order, liberal world order, have been destructive to these ends, to themselves, and for this they are collapsing. They don't know how to keep out populists like Donald Trump. They don't know how to maintain cultural cohesion. They don't know how to speak to the American people, and thus they are just spiraling and burning out of control. And then you get the meritocratic rise. What we're seeing now with the likes of Donald Trump and the populist right and Matt Gaetz, and even AOC to a certain extent, is that the people are starting to step up. And this terrifies the elites who believe that without their uniform control, the world will descend into, World War III again. That is no reason to support any of these people. They have not proven they have the capabilities to maintain even that system. They've proven only that they will burn our money in Pakistan on gender studies, in Ukraine on war that we can't win. That could drive us into World War III. And for what? To tell Russia that we deserve to be pressed up against their border and cut them off from the Black Sea? For what? Nothing that you have justified to the American people that we should spend blood and treasure on. And for that, you lose. And good riddance. You deserve to. Because that's what this country is about. If Donald Trump can prove that he can win, then he should win. And the response, of course, from Democrats is to say he's a fascist and authoritarian. He's going to take over. And no, he's going to try to secure American borders, bring back American manufacturing. Joe Biden's even adopting all of these Trump positions because Trump saw it coming. Trump saw that the liberal economic order was failing. And the best move was going to be to repair your central position. The United States as a nation needs to be strong, and it is not. We are having a fertility crisis, an economic crisis, and that is going to combine into the apocalypse. You know what I noticed as I was flying around the country? So I was flying from Milwaukee to Milwaukee and back. The planes were all delayed. It was kind of nuts. I noticed something interesting. The family restrooms at airports have started to turn into all gender bathrooms. You noticed that? So we were in Chicago, and what used to be labeled as the family restroom, and it's got the baby thing and everything, you change your baby's diaper. It was called the all gender bathroom. And I wonder about that. I wonder if there is a correlation between the lack of people having children and family bathrooms being turned into all gender bathrooms. You can see the priority of the culture. You know, we were talking about this on Timcast IRL last week, or the week before, I can't remember. McDonald's used to have play places. McDonald's, a fast food restaurant. It used to be that you'd show up and they had a play place. Half the restaurant was a ball pit with slides and tubes and tunnels. Isn't that crazy to think about? I'm going to McDonald's and my kids are going to be in a playground while I order cheeseburgers. because family meant something. And that is gone. And I blame these people, not the Clintons literally, but them and their political cohorts have failed this country, failed to defend its culture. And for this, we're now being what? Flooded by millions upon millions of illegal immigrants because they're desperate to bolster the population as the country crumbles. It's your fault. Y'all have failed this nation. And they say, I love this. AOC is like, Trump says immigrants are criminals. Ugh, I can't stand these people. That's what the Kamala HQ campaign is saying. No, we're saying the criminals are criminals. I don't care about immigrants, but if you enter the country illegally, that's a crime. You're a criminal. And this is what's terrifying to me to see. There will be no liberal economic order, no global peace, no American military hegemony if there is no America. And these people have neglected the health of their own nation, sacrificed the wealth of their own nation for what? Some noble endeavor of having U.S. military bases in foreign countries? We should always be fighting for our home before we're worried about everybody else. You got to clean your room before you try to change the world. And America represents the antithesis of this. And where are we now? A man who is not capable of being president as president has dropped out of the race. Democrats have no one to swap out. Kamala Harris, I guess, she can't win. She's underwater 8 points in some of these polls. And the American system is in free fall. We have been failed by those men who created that liberal world order, their children and grandchildren. And for this, they are losing power. And they may burn this country to the ground to stop the popular moves from happening. So I'll wrap up this segment by saying Donald Trump, the popular choice, is accused of being a fascist and an authoritarian. And Democrats seek to nominate their candidate by secret poll of political elites. They claim to fight authoritarianism for the sake of the global order, but they have become the monsters that they they sought to fight, or at least claim to. Maybe they never really did. Be careful when fighting monsters, lest ye become one. For as you gaze into the abyss gazes back. And Democrats represent that so well, they do not deserve to have any seats in political office and power right now. And this goes for the uniparty Republicans too. But Trump is something different. We will see what happens. We will see. Got a couple more segments coming up for you. So smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the show with your friends. We got Timcast IRL coming up tonight. Next segment's going to be at 4 p.m. for those that are not watching live. For everybody else, stay tuned. I'm going to read super chats, and then we're going to grab a couple more segments for you, and we're going to talk about the state of being in this country and a bit more. So it should be fun. Again, smash that like button, and I will see you all in the next segment.